All right, final qualifying. It's what everybody looks forward to the whole year. 36 holes away from the Open, and today we had 5 spots up for grabs. But before I get into this, I'm just going to say what an amazing turnout from all of the members and all of the locals here at Burnham Berrow. It's always just a spectacular buzz around final qualifying, whichever the venue, to be honest. But I've been here the last 2 years, and the turnout has been just amazing. So thanks to everybody who was out watching and supporting. I think there were a couple of you who mentioned that you had watched the last YouTube video, so I appreciate that. Anyway, let's get into the round. I started with 2 really solid shots here into one and left my putt a little short. Did struggle with the pace on the greens, to be honest, and a 4 is never going to hurt you on any of these holes. Par is good on a course this tough. Now the second hole, we missed the approach shot here. One of the officials said we couldn't film, but we actually had permission to, but I managed to hit an 9-iron in here to about 8 foot and off to a really solid start. To birdie the second, which is probably one of the tougher holes, was awesome. Now I hit a nice 3-wood here down the third and left myself about 115 into a back right pin, but I wasn't going anywhere near the flag. I just wanted to go a bit short left so I could putt straight up to it, and that's exactly where I left myself. I just overread this putt, expected it to come back to the right, but again, pars are never going to kill you on a day like today. So at this point in the round, I'm hitting it well, I'm just trying to build a score. Now this one I thought I hit a bit too far right. I struck it out the heel, however, the wind wasn't as strong as I thought, and it ended up being pretty perfect. This left me a 4-iron in. Again, wind left to right. I really struggle with a left to right wind because I do predominantly hit a fade, and I'm not amazing at holding it up against the wind. This whole front 9 was into off the left, so this was actually a lot better than where it ended up. It took a really hard bounce right down a chute. However, it left me a very makeable up and down, so this was a good shot, and I left myself, I don't know, maybe 10, 12 feet there for a birdie to get to -2, and gave this again another good roll, but it just caught the left side, and yeah, it was a good putt, to be honest. However, like I said earlier, pars today just are never bad. We are just trying to slowly plod through this round and make as many birdies as we can, but there's no immediate rush with it being 36 holes. Again, a really nice tee shot here on the par 3 and just left it short. So not really judging the pace there too well. It was quite a bit into wind, and that affected the putt more than I anticipated. So hole 6, what you're going to see on this course compared to others is that the cameraman couldn't get anywhere near the tee because all of these back tees are way up and in these mounds, and it's very difficult to get good views. So he did an amazing job. Shout out Charlie. This was definitely one of the tougher holes of the day. A super long par 4 where you can't really hit driver. So I had to hit 1-iron 4-iron in or 1-iron 5-iron, and ended up scrambling really well here to save par and stay at 1 under. So that was huge, a real good momentum keeper. Now this hole is again a really tough drive into off the left, and I pounded this over the bunker and it came back nicely into the middle of the fairway, which left me a wedge in, which I just couldn't really start far enough left. The wind was howling at this stage, and yeah, I played a really good shot here, and it ended up, I think, about 9 feet, just short of the cup. This putt was looking good, but just missed right on the right edge. I didn't give it enough speed, and again, disappointing to let another birdie putt slip by, but pars on holes this tough, I just couldn't be mad with, because I was hitting it well, and it's just a case of on to the next. Now this hole was a par 5. I absolutely smoked this drive and left myself right in the middle of the fairway. I drove it really well in round 1. Now here I had a 4-iron, I believe. Just didn't commit to starting it left enough. You can see here the club drop, which I shouldn't have really done, but for me that was a really good opportunity to just flag it. But I didn't trust myself, I let it flare right. However, I left myself a somewhat okay chance to make up and down, but this pin was pretty tucked, so I wasn't able to get that close. Now it was a case of just limiting the damage here, trying to get out of here with a 5. And I hit a really good putt and just burns the edge. It was an outside look at birdie, to be honest, but that had a good chance of going in. Now, another par, so on to the next, which was a par 3. I didn't really try going at this flag. I just think the wind pushed it a little early on in its flight, and it ended up going in this bunker, so had to save par here to stay under par, and I hit a really good bunker shot to about 5 feet or so. Now this putt was left to right, but I hit it just a bit too firm and it burnt the edge, or rather leapt out. So a disappointing bogey there. That was, I'd say, avoidable. I should have really just aimed my tee shot a little further left, but when it's downwind, it's quite difficult. You have to get your start line exact because the wind will then just take it. Here, 403, and I wanted to challenge the green. This was a little left of where I needed to go, but I gave myself a decent look here to get it close from about 40 yards or so. But at this stage in the round, the wind is really starting to pick up, and as you can see, it's almost impossible to stop this chip shot. However, I did have this same putt last year to this exact flag, so I knew the read, and again, I put a really good roll on it, and I think it just burnt the right side, which was unfortunate. I really wanted to hold that to get back to under par, but still plenty of holes to go, and on to the next, where again, I hit a really, really good drive, just taking it over the bunkers and leaving myself about 100 yards in or so. This shot just got caught up in the wind a bit. I expected it to carry a bit further, so yeah, it just got caught up. It didn't really run out, it spun back quite a bit, and I left myself just a difficult 2-putt for par. That was a good chance to try and make a birdie, but yeah, did a good job here to get away with par. And on to the next, which I was just trying to really make 4 on because it was a tough pin. We had a par 5 coming up after that, so I hit a really nice 1-iron here down the middle, which unfortunately ended up in somewhat of a divot, so I had to try and smoke an 8-iron out of this lie, and it just got caught up in the wind. However, luckily it managed to stay on the front. I'm not sure if you will be able to see here, but there was a huge runoff, so a few yards shorter and that would have been a very difficult up and down. So here, just trying to 2-putt this for my 4, and I hit this quite a way past. However, this was a really, really good putt for par. Again, just to keep some of the momentum going. I'm by no means out of this at this stage. Now here, I had, I think, 270 out of the left rough, and I tried to just launch a 6-iron with the wind, and it just finished a little too far left. Gave me a tough chip shot, which I actually executed really well, but with it being so downwind, it was almost impossible to stop. So in hindsight, I should have played that a bit further to the right with my second shot. However, I still had a putt for birdie here. I hit a good putt. Here, just missed on the high side, which again was just unfortunate to see. However, you just can't complain with pars on a day like today. I had plenty of holes to go, and if I just keep putting good rolls on it, then, you know, I was certain they would start to drop. I hit a really good tee shot here on the 14th, which is a difficult par 3. You do not want to go left because it just funnels all the way down, almost into like another town. It's crazy. But hit a really good tee shot, pin high right, and, you know, a good putt there. If you can make a 3 for both rounds on this hole, then you're definitely gaining shots against the rest of the field. Now this hole, I hit a really good drive on. I was driving it really well round 1 and gave myself a nice chance to try get it close. Unfortunately here, I just hit it pretty much straight through the wind. It just hung out right and didn't quite kick left how I anticipated it would. So I had an outside look for birdie, but no, I thought this was going to be absolutely rapid, but just didn't judge the pace well at all. In fact, all day, the putts that I did miss and did lip out on, if they did have more speed, they would have gone in. So as a pattern throughout the day, which is to be expected, to be fair, on links greens, I just left everything a bit short. So I tried getting it near the green here, 388. Different tee to last year. This was probably the best shot I hit all day, and it ended up, so it was a little further away than it looks here, but my cameraman thought I was going to mark it. I cleaned it, went through my routine. It was about 2 foot. I went to tap it in and I lipped out. It jumped left a bit. So that was really disappointing, because that was by far the best shot I think I've hit all year. And to not get back to 1 under there was a bit of a mental blip. I should have really just marked it, let the others putt, but instead I tried putting out, and sometimes that happens. However, I needed to try stay positive. I hit a really good shot onto this par 3 17. Somewhat of a poor putt, but did well to tap in here and stay at even. Again, by no means out of it at this stage. Now on 18, I hit a good tee shot here. Just stayed a little left, which gave us not too far in, but this was just howling downwind, so super difficult to stop anything short. I mean, everybody was going along with this green. It was almost like there was a magnet long, and yeah, the ball was just ending up there. So needed a 2-putt here to finish round 1 at even. Gave it a good run. That had a chance of going in, and had about 3 feet here to finish up a decent round 1. That could have been a lot lower, but anyway. All right, so we just finished up and we ended up shooting even for round 1, which it feels like I let certainly a few shots slip away. I did hit the ball really well and had a little hiccup there on 16, I believe, where I went for a tap in and it just jumped left. That would have got us back to 1 under. But yeah, to finish even, I'm a little disappointed, but we've still got 18 holes left and I feel like I'm putting good rolls on the putts. So it's just a matter of this afternoon. Hopefully they'll start to drop and I'll just have to keep hitting it good, which I'm confident I can do. So yeah, we have 15 minutes now, quick turnaround, then back out for round 2. And I think I'll probably need maybe 5-6 under. So we have quite the task ahead of us, but I'm definitely hitting it well enough to score that. My stroke feels okay. So yeah, gonna go spend the next 10 minutes or so on the putting green, and yeah, I'll give this my best shot in the afternoon. All right, so after a very quick break, we're back out on the course and the wind is absolutely howling. I'd say it's up there at about 30 miles an hour this afternoon. So as you can see there, it was going to be tough. I needed to shoot 5-6 under to get through. And to be honest, we just hit the wrong club here. I had about 85 foot straight into wind. Found it really difficult to judge the speed here, and I needed to try get off to a really solid start to make a push. However, a 3-putt on the first wasn't really ideal after hitting 2 pretty good shots into this green. But at this stage I was just remaining positive. There are plenty of holes left. You can see the grass here, it's just so hard off the left, and I really struggled with this in the afternoon. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, my shot is left to right off the tee, and with a left to right wind, for me, I find it really difficult. So yeah, I got caught out, to be honest, but hit a good chip here, gave myself, 5-6 foot to save the par, and I really needed this to stay at 1 over and give myself, some hope moving into the rest of this round. So that was a really good up and down. I actually thought I missed that, but that was quite nice to see. Hole number 3 now, had to take a driver here. Way out right, again, the wind just pushing it. However, I left myself an okay chance to get it into the middle of the green, which I did. So yeah, quite a long putt here though, and sorry, I actually don't remember what I made on many of these holes. It was all a bit of a blur this round. I missed the par putt there to go to 2 over, and at this point in the round, the conditions are getting difficult. I'm moving further away from that spot. I really needed to get something going, so I hit a really good drive here down the par 5 and left myself in, I think I had a 1-iron in. But again, with that wind going off the left so hard, I almost felt like I had to aim this like off the planet left to get it anywhere near the hole. But left it about pin high right, gave myself a decent look at birdie. This chip just spun up really quickly on me though. However, 6 foot or so up the hill for a birdie, and it just slides by. I really needed that to get back to 1 and to just keep the dream alive, I suppose. Now here, I was just trying to hit it straight at pins from this point on, and I was a little disappointed with how long this finished. It wasn't actually that bad a shot, but gave myself a decent look, and yeah. It just couldn't seem to get anything to drop, to be honest. Made that for the par. You know, I did feel like I was stroking it really well. As you guys might be aware, this was a different putter, but it wasn't the putter's fault that I wasn't holding anything. I genuinely feel like I stroked it really well. I just had an issue with the speed. Again, this was a really tough hole. Just the wind catching me out again. Now, I thought this was going to finish pin high, to be honest, but it finished about 40 yards short. That is how windy it was in this second round. I hit a really good chip here though to try and save par. And you know, although I was 2 over, Dylan and I, my caddy, we were just saying, look, if we can get back to even by the back 9, you never know how we could finish. I mean, the chances at this point of us qualifying are low, and if we could just get back to even, you know, who knows what can happen. Unfortunately here, I actually lost my drive left on 7. Tried aiming left for the wind to bring it back, but I hit it straight through the wind and it ended up out of bounds. And yeah, that was really unfortunate. So this was my 4th shot into a tough hole, but by no means should I be making 7. I can't remember the last time I hit a drive out of bounds, to be honest, but it was really disappointing because, you know, it's final cue. You don't want to be doing that. And that was to save double. So a 7 on the 7th in round 2, that takes us to +5. And now strategy is going to change a little because, you know, we need eagles and albatrosses. We need all sorts to try and get back into this thing. So this was my 3rd shot into the par 5 8th. And again, I hit a really good shot. Pitched this just short of the flag. It almost went in, to be honest, but ended up trundling through the back of the green. Again, an outside look here for birdie. Now, I'm sure with me being 5 over, this is not as engaging for you guys to watch, but I'm still going to talk you through, you know, what I was thinking. I really didn't give up. At least I tried not to give up. Hole number 9 here, hit a really good tee shot close. You know, I feel like if I can get things going with the putter, even now on the 9th hole, I can still birdie and get back to even. And who knows with what the wind is doing, if we finish at even. I just didn't know how people were playing. I found it really tough in the afternoon, so I just kept trying to make birdies. And this drive was really good. 403 to the pin. We end up getting it just short of the green and leaving myself 5-6 feet or so. But it was just one of those days. I couldn't hold anything. I couldn't read the greens and I couldn't get the speed right. And yeah, it was definitely a day where had I putted better, things could have been a bit different. At this stage though, we're just trying to get in with a respectable score. But I was getting tired, the wind was picking up. And it's one of those days where as you get further away from the qualifying score, you just end up going for everything. And as you can see here, a ton of misses off the tee. Honestly, this was a brutal second round for me. Clearly it was playable because tons of people managed to score well, but what you're seeing here is just somebody who's somewhat out of the event. The game is just not on. I'm not firing on all cylinders, and on a course like this, if you're slightly off, it can really get away from you, and it's really not hard at all to start making bogeys. Hit a good drive here on the par 5 13th, and actually we had about 240 in here. This was a 6-iron, but it just airmailed everything because it was just so downwind, and yeah, left me in a pretty difficult spot. That lie was very bare, so that came out a little clean. And now I needed to make an up and down to save par, which, as you can tell, was pretty difficult with the wind being so down. Again here, a decent roll, just missed it high. I had a very similar putt this morning actually, but wasn't able to hold that. Now, a rare occasion where it was just a stock 7-iron swing on this tough par 3, which felt like a little bit of a breather. Was able to hit it pretty close in there and hold the putt for birdie. So yeah, I just feel like the crosswinds made it very difficult for me in the afternoon. I hit a really good drive down this hole 15, just a horrendous lie in the rough, and that's how links golf goes sometimes. It's not easy at all. Now, this was a really interesting green. A lot of people were using this slope with their second shots to hit it up the slope and then have it come back down to the pin, and I think I did a pretty good job there trying to get this up and down, but unfortunately again just a putt that lacked speed, to be honest. It needed more speed to go in. Now here, honestly, trying to get it near the green, but that wind just, yeah, really struggling with it at this point in the round. And honestly, it's not nice to watch back because it's just it's a little reckless, to be honest. And if I was in contention, I certainly wouldn't have been hitting the spinny drivers coming in, but you know, I was just going for it at this point. A bogey there, and then this shot was really good. It was howling downwind. It took a huge kick up towards the front section of the green, and I thought it was going to stay there, but unfortunately it ended up coming back down the false front into a tricky lie in the rough. And that's the type of margins you're having to deal with at final cue. Very fine margins. Had that been a foot further, it's, you know, a really easy birdie putt. But unfortunately, yep, another bogey. Bogeys, when you're not on this course in these conditions, are very, very easy to rack up. Now 18 here, just trying to finish with a good hole, put a good 2 swings on it, and I did that. This one pitched quite near the hole. However, it just went straight through the back again because it was really quite hard to finish short of that flag. So just trying to 2-putt here to finish the day. You know, we gave it a really good run in the morning, and you know, I'm confident we can make this open one day. All right, so we just got done with the second round, which was pretty brutal, to be honest. And it's a tough one because the more we move away from the number, then the more aggressive we ended up being, just because with holes running out, we needed to take some chances, and I didn't hit my driver as well in round 2, and then things just started to get away from me. So yeah, that was pretty rough, and the course well and truly handed it to me. But you know, I'm still happy with how we went about round 1. We definitely hit it really well and executed a lot of good shots and gave ourselves tons of opportunities. So that was really positive. And 36 holes is tough, especially when you haven't been playing a lot. So you know, today was definitely a humbling experience, but I don't think we were too far away. I think had we holed a few more putts in round 1, we would have probably played a lot more conservative in round 2 and then just kept plodding. But you know, that's how this day goes. If you do fall back early on, you then need to make a charge or try and chase a little, which I don't know if you should do or not, but that's just how it went. But no, I enjoyed having Dylan out there again, and I think we'll definitely be back here next year. And it's pretty obvious, I think, what I need to work on. My putting needs to improve for sure. It just wasn't good enough today, even though I felt like I hit some good putts. That has to get better, but I'm doing my best to work on that. And you know, I'm sure this time next year we can give it another go. Dylan, any words?
To be honest, I don't think I need to say anything more. It's final round of open qualifying. It's going to be tough. It's going to be brutal. But yeah, listen, we did what we needed. We did what we could do, and we just got quite sort of unlucky at different times, and it is what it is. But I'm sure we'll be back with some more pretty soon.
Yeah, for sure. And finally, well done to any of my mates who inevitably get through. I think there were a few of you leading after round 1, so yeah, whoever got through, amazing, and good luck at Portrush, and see you in the next video. It might be player versus caddy, being him. Yeah. So yeah, that'll be fun. But thanks for watching if you stayed this long, and yeah, see you in the next one.
Peace.